once again reiterate the facts of the situation here. Basically, these guys run a channel which purports to be about helping people manage their diabetes, either type 1 or type 2, and indeed these days they talk about a third type called type 3. Okay, fine. Let's be clear. Diabetes is a chronically elevated blood glucose level. Nothing else. The underlying etiology is often ascribed by these charlatans and others to insulin resistance, which we know to be false. That is not the cause of elevated blood glucose. That is a response to a toxic loading of glucose, which is entirely appropriate, is there because of 4.5 million years of evolution, and there because of a series of enzymes called collectively the Randle cycle that protect cells from glycative damage they would otherwise suffer because of pouring too many carbohydrates down your neck. The sacrificial lambs becoming the epithelial cells and the red blood cells, because these can be replaced on a much shorter schedule, much more regularly. And as we evolved, the huge amounts of glucose and salt that a human being might have experienced from time to time were very, very rare events. We could not go down the supermarket or down the corner shop and buy a bunch of carbohydrates. They weren't available to us, actually. As such, we are evolved as consumers of largely saturated animal fats and associated animal proteins. So type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes and type 3 diabetes, doesn't matter which one, they are all elevated blood glucose, nothing else. So how in the purple fuck do we ameliorate that situation by pouring carbohydrates down our neck, combined with fibers, which are broken down in the gut slightly into short-chain fatty acids, largely saturated, which of course will then enter cells and activate the fucking Randle cycle? Tell me how that works. Captain, please.
So one thing they always like to talk about too is like having complex carbs, having whole grains, as if this is somehow better. And I want to do a little demonstration. And what I'm going to do is I have a piece purchased only for this. I felt very sick having to buy this today. A piece of whole grain bread, right? This is as good as bread as you can get. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to chew this bread, and then I'm going to put my saliva on my blood sugar meter, my glucometer, right? This thing only detects glucose, right? First I'll do a little control here, and I'll show you my saliva without anything in it. So it should say low. It actually said error because there's nothing in the saliva. If I do my
off scale low, yep.
If I do my my blood, it'll be like 80s and 90s, just normal. So now I'm gonna chew this.
Don't do it, Ryan. Don't do it, son.
So there's an enzyme in our saliva, and its job is only to break chains of starch and turn it into pure glucose. So this complex carb, there's nothing complex about it. It's becoming pure glucose, pure sugar in my mouth before it even gets to my stomach.
Please spit that out when you're finished.
All right. There we go. Loading. You see that? 370.
Ooh!
Pure glucose. That's whole grain. That is whole grain bread from Whole Foods. It's good stuff. Well, if you eat that kind of stuff, it's good stuff, I guess. But in my mouth, turned to pure glucose in a few seconds. There's nothing complex about it.